Hello, Houston Skyline. I hope everyone is doing well and having a good start of your week. This week, we're starting off with a teaching moment on effectively going to the floor on defense. So, we're going to be talking through a lot of different things, but that will be our main focus for today. So, moving into our different points of emphasis for today, I have 4 different ones listed. And so we'll go through some film later of specific defensive moves, and I'll give you a training focus at the end. But just overarching theme, we're talking about going to the floor a lot today. That is with the basis of the importance of your feet. So a lot of this comes down to, are you getting your feet to the ball originally? And then you can make a floor move. So it's not just about going to the floor. We don't just want to flop. We want to be efficient with our feet, and then we want to know how we can effectively use the floor to help us dig the ball. Then we'll be emphasizing the importance of your hips a lot. So a lot of these defensive moves that I give rely on you being able to go down to the floor and use your hips to help you. So we'll touch on that a lot, and I'll talk on that a lot. So we really just want to know that our hips are going to be a huge part in determining if we're able to dig the ball high or if we're just able to get a touch on the ball. And we want to be getting nice high digs to the center of the court. We don't just want to be focusing on, I got a touch. I want to use my hips to help me drive underneath the ball so that I can make the best dig possible. So now that we've touched on the importance of your feet and the importance of your hips, we'll move into those specific defensive moves, kind of analyzing some film of girls digging, and then we'll finish off with training focuses that you can do at home to improve during this time. We're going to touch on 4 different ones today, and so with each defensive move, I'll show you some videos, some slow motion of players doing this live in action, and we'll go through what they've done well, what they need to do better, just to give you an image of what it looks like in live play. As a lot of you know, we train a lot of these defensive moves when we're doing partner drills at Skyline. And so the goal behind this is to just have different tools in your tool chest, different defensive moves that you can pull out in a game. And so a coach would probably never tell you, you need to go in and go do a double knee drive for that ball. But it's just giving you kind of some different moves that you can make towards the ball when different balls are coming at you. So when we go through this specific defensive moves, just know it's not always going to be black and white, but we're trying to train these things to become more natural so that when you're playing live, you don't have to think about it, you just do it. We are going to start with the double knee drive. You would use a double knee drive for a ball that's hit directly out in front of you, and you're going to lead with your hips. Both of your knees are going to go down, and you're going to try to drive your platform under the ball. So that's going to be super important as we watch these next few clips. So here we've got a double knee drive in live action. So Ava goes down, she drives both knees underneath the ball and then comes through. Now the reason that this ball goes over the net is because on contact, her hips might just be a little bit high. She could try to drive under a little bit more, and that would help her keep this ball on this side. But she does drive under with both knees, and so this would qualify as a double knee drive. So next we have another one. Ava does a better job on this one of really getting her hips underneath the ball and then trying to feel the bottom of the ball with her platform. So she's able to fully drive underneath this ball, keeping it on her side this time. So this is a really nice collapse dig into that double knee drive. So next we have another double knee drive, but this is into full extension. So we'll show in slow-mo. Takes her a while to get her knees down on this. We would like her knees to go down a little bit more, but she does a good job of trying to fully extend under so she can get this ball up. And we'll show it one more time in quick speed. driving underneath the bottom of the ball, trying to get those knees under a little bit sooner. Then we have Gabby Mansfield with another example of the same. She's going down with both knees and then fully extending. So on contact, she is fully extended with her whole body. Her legs are completely out. She's trying to touch underneath that ball, and she finds the bottom of it. So as you saw in those clips, here's just an overview of the double knee drive. They were trying to lead with their hips. Their hips were going down first. Both of their knees were trying to go down to the ground at the same time, and they were trying to see the bottom of the ball with their platform. And then we also showed you those full extensions from a double knee drive. So next up, we have a Shin Dig. And so a Shin Dig is for a ball that's out in front of you and slightly to the side. So I would do a Shin Dig to my right when the ball is out in front of me and to my right, and I would do a Shin Dig to my left when the ball is out in front of me and to my left. And so kind of similar in that you lead with your hips, but instead one knee goes down. And so we'll talk about this, but there will be 3 points of contact with you and the ground. So if I was going down to my right, I would want my right knee touching the floor, my right toe touching the floor, and my left foot touching the floor. So my left leg is extended out to my side and my right leg is bent. And then from this Shin Dig, you can also reach full extension. And so we'll break this down in these clips, and then I will also show more examples of what that will look like later when we go into how you can do these things at home. So here's an example of a Shin Dig to the right. This ball is low and out in front of Ava to her right, and so she goes down into that Shin Dig on her right leg. Okay, we would like for her to try to finish underneath the bottom of the ball a little bit. She catches this just a little bit high. We would want her hips to be a little bit lower in this situation. That's why the ball kind of goes a little bit farther than she would hope. But this is the right use of that move. Next, we're going to show a Shin Dig to her left. So you'll notice this time she goes down on her left foot and her right foot drags to her side. So she does a pretty good job of keeping her hips underneath the bottom of this ball. And she also tries to stay facing that hitter so she doesn't turn towards her sideline. So this is a really nice move and a really good use of that Shin Dig towards her left. So a few more examples of these Shin Digs, this time from Gabby Mansfield. So on that one, Gabby goes down on her right knee for a ball that's low and out in front to her right. Okay, and then her left leg extends to the side. So she does a really good job of trying to get underneath this ball. Her hips are underneath it, and so she digs that ball high on her side. So we'll show it one more time. It's a nice dig, driving underneath the bottom of the ball. So this next to Gabby's left, and so she goes down with her left knee and her right leg comes to the side. And so this is an example of a full extension Shin Dig. So she goes down and then she finishes, as you can see, with her platform to the ground. So that helps her cover an extra 2-ish feet. So when you think about how much more ground you can cover when you fully extend, this is why that dig can be so effective. So just an overview of the Shin Dig. It's for any ball that is low out in front and to the side of you. You're going to lead with your hips. Your hips are super important. One of your knees is going to go down depending on what side you go to, and then that will lead to those 3 points of contact. So on your right side, it would be your right knee down, your right toe touching the floor, then your left leg out. And then if you need to fully extend for a ball that's further out than you thought, you can do that because you'll be able to push off of that knee that's planted on the ground. So up until this point, we've really emphasized the importance of your hips on those last 2 digs. And so we want to keep that as an emphasis point, but sometimes the ball comes so quick that you're not able to move your feet as much because it's coming so quick. And so the more steps you try to fit in, the later you're going to be to the ball. So don't get me wrong, I'm not saying don't move your feet, but I am saying there are some times where your feet are only going to take you so far. And so you're going to have to move into what's called a push off to extension. So this type of dig is where you lead with your platform more, or you lead with your arm. You take your feet to the ball, but then you reach a certain point where you're not going to have enough time to get any more steps in. So you push off of a planted foot. You almost jump for the ball. And then you touch the ball. And then you're going to have to kind of lead with your chest and finish through the bottom of the ball as you dive out through that sequence. So this is a little bit more about the ball's coming so fast, you have no other options. You need to push off of the planted foot, jump for the ball to be able to touch it. Moving into our examples, here's one. So as you can see from this ball, Ava tries to take her feet to the ball as much as possible, but then she reaches a point where she has to plant and then push off of that right foot. So as you can see, she pushes off, leads with her platform and chest, falls through, and then finishes underneath the bottom of the ball. So she's actually leading with her chest on this one because she doesn't have enough time to take any more steps. So next we have an example from Gabby. And so as you can see on this one, she can't take her feet to the ball anymore. And so she has to push off of her right foot and then lead with her chest and then finish through to the floor. So what I really like about this example is how low Ava stays the whole time. So she is still leading with her platform and moving into this push-off move, but she stays low, she keeps her hips low. So as she pushes off, she is able to contact the ball at a low point, drive underneath, and then finish through. And then as you can see, she uses this roll move to quickly get up and get back into the play. So lots of good things in this one, but love how she keeps her hips low and then immediately gets involved back into that play. So we'll show one more. This is a really awesome play from Gabby. So she literally has to jump for this ball. So she plants, pushes off, and then when she makes contacts, her legs are almost both in the air. And so she sacrifices, leads with her chest, and makes a really nice dig. And so we'll watch it one more time, but this is what we mean when we say jumping for the ball or pushing off into that full extension. Again, this is just an example of the push off to extension move. So that's leading with your platform, you're pushing off of a planted foot, pretty much jumping towards the ball, and then finishing through the bottom of the ball. And lastly, we will talk about pancakes. And so I'm only going to briefly touch on pancakes because this doesn't need to be something that you use a ton. I highlighted this, that it is an emergency move, but every once in a while, a couple situations will happen where you do need to do a pancake. And so I'll kind of touch on this, but it's when the ball gets past the point of no return. And when I say that, I just mean it drops closer and closer to the floor, to whereas if you went with one hand and tried to swing your arm, it wouldn't work. You would just hit your arm on the ground. So it's better to try to go with a big hand underneath that ball and pancake it. And then I also put outside hand on here because just in general, when we do pancake, we want to go with that outside hand, meaning the one closest to the outside of the court, so you can bring that ball back in. So going into our examples, we have one here from Ava. I would like for her to start running a little bit lower to this ball, but I'm going to pause the video at the point of no return pretty much. At this point, it'd be really hard for Ava to try to swing her arm for that ball. So it makes more sense to put her hand out and go underneath for the pancake. In this situation, I would like for her to go with her left hand, but good job on getting this ball up. We also have another example from Gabby. Gabby also goes with her right hand, which just shows they're right hand dominant. But she gets stopped. She runs low to this ball. She's not going to be able to one-hand it. So she goes underneath with a big hand towards the ground with that pancake. And again, pancakes are not something that you should use all the time, but I did want to touch on it as it is a floor move that you can use. So now we're going to move into different things that you can do at home to try to improve at these floor moves. We'll touch on hip mobility, we'll touch on some mini partner drills that you can do, and we'll touch on some push-off footwork. And then also there are just some ways that you can get creative, some fun things that you can do. So I've included some of those at the end. So defenders and everyone who plays volleyball, really, hip mobility is going to be super, super important. And so this is why I included this first. And so you can head to our YouTube channel and check out our Wind Down Wednesday from last week, because we focus mostly on hip mobility. But I've also included some different hip exercises here that you can pause the video at any time and look at. But hip mobility is so important when playing defense. If you don't have flexible hips that can go to the floor quickly, it's gonna make life a lot harder. And if there was one thing I could do different, it would be I would work on my hip mobility more. And you don't realize how much you're influenced by that until it improves, until you get more flexibility in that area. So taking 5 or 10 minutes a day to do some of these exercises is a really good start in terms of hip mobility. So moving into our mini partner drills here, you can see I'm doing it against the wall, but you can also do it with a partner, tossing low and out in front to you. But I have those 3 points of contact with my legs. So right now I start with a right side shin dig. And so now I move to the left. My left knee is down, my left toe is down, my right leg is out. You can see I start with catching, just focusing on trying to drive underneath the bottom of the ball. And then I move into kind of that dig. And so trying to get your hips underneath and seeing the bottom of the ball is really important in this. So moving into our push-off move, I'm showing here some floor moves that you can do at home on any smooth surface. Obviously, I'm in the empty gym, but you can do it on some wood floors. And I also show how you can just kind of jump to the ball without going to the floor. But main idea is trying to push off and lead with your chest. And then I also used a Bosu ball to practice leading with my chest and then kind of going through that diving motion to the floor. And I also wanted to include just a fun little pancake challenge that you could do at home with a partner. So that wraps up our video today. We talked about a lot of different things, different defensive moves that you can use while going to the floor, and then gave y'all a bunch of things that you can be doing at home. And so if you have any questions on anything in this video, please contact us and we can get those answers to you. But we hope you enjoy this video and have a good rest of your week.